Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome again to another video. So on this video I'm going to teach you Django from scratch. So the aim of this video is to teach you how you can develop your Django project from scratch, and then on this video we're going to develop a car dealership website. We are going to demonstrate the CRUD concept, so mean that we are going to create a listing, we are going to retrieve a particular listing, we are going to update that listing, and then we are going to delete that particular listing. So we are also going to learn how we can deal with images, how we can upload images to our development environment, and other settings in our Django project. So if you are new to this channel, please consider subscribing, liking and sharing this content. So want to reach 1000 subscribers, please support us to do so just by liking and sharing and subscribing to this channel. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, using any browser you have, just type Python on your browser and then just click enter and just look for the upper website. So for us it is python.org. so as you can see, you will have here a welcome to Python org. So just click here, you will come up with this beautiful page for the official website for Python. So if you are on this page, you can just try to look around. There are some tutorials and there are some downloads, some docs and some jobs also. So as for the recording of this video, it is that we are going to use Python 3.10.5. so we just need to click here and download the setup. So after downloading the setup, you just have to double click the setup and then the installation will start. Just remember to add Python to your path so that you won't have other problems in the future when writing your commands on the terminal. Okay, so if you are done with the installation, it's time to create our folder and start developing our car dealership website. So just anywhere you normally create your projects, just create a new folder, and this folder we are going to call it car dealership. So let's call it car dealership. Yes, good. Now after creating this folder, we need to open this folder inside our VS Code. So let's open our VS Code, and then here we need to add open folder, and then let us check for our particular folder. Okay, our folder is here. Let us click it here and let us add it here. So after adding our folder, as you can see, it is here inside our VS Code. Now we'll need to start by opening a new terminal. So here we're going to run several commands. Yeah, of course, after opening our terminal, the thing we have to do here is we need to install our virtual environment so that we can create our virtual environment to help us develop our programs without interfering with our operating system. So it's just simple. We need to pip install virtual environment so that we can have this package. Of course, there are other packages, but we are going to use this package. So as you can see for my site, this package is already installed. Now no need to install it again. Then after installing this package for your site, now you need to create our virtual environment. Also, it's very simple. Just need to write virtual env, then the name of our virtual environment. For us, let us just call it VNV. So our virtual environment is called VNV, and then let us click. Let us just add a dot here, mean that our VNV folder should be inside our car dealership folder. So click enter, and it's going to take some time. Just wait for it. Now of course our virtual environment is created, as you can see. Now if you navigate on your left side, you will see that you have a car dealership, and inside car dealership you have this VMV folder, and then inside you have a script folder which contains the activate.bat file. Now it's time to activate our virtual environment so that we can start our development. Let us just go inside the VMV folder, and then we should write scripts, then /activate. Click enter. Okay, now our virtual environment is activated. As you can see, we have VMV here on the left side of our configuration, and then it means that our virtual environment is activated. Now let's go back to our car dealership, and then it's time for us to install Django. Let's clear this first. Now if you want to install Django, just let pip install Django, and then you can push -- the version of your Django want to install. But for us, we're going to install the latest version, so just pip install Django, and then you are going to get the latest Django package. For now it is 4.0.5, and it's taking time. Yeah, of course it's done now. So we have the latest version of Django. Now once you install Django, it's time to start our project. Now it's simple, just like Django-admin start project, and then the name of your particular project, and then don't forget to add space dot, because this will create the folder inside our current development folder. So it's Django-admin start project, then the name of your project. So for us, we're going to call it dealership, and then space dot. If you click enter here, yeah, our new project is added to inside this particular folder. As you can see, we have manage.py here added also, and that means our project is started. Now let us try to run our server if everything is okay. So Python manage.py, then run server. As you can see, our server is running good, and we have a link here which you can paste it to our browser to see if everything is okay. Pasting it here and click enter, you can see that we have a very beautiful Django default page. This means that our installation worked and everything is good to go. So from here now on, we can start creating our apps. As you know that apps are like a sub function to a particular system. Like if you have a website, then you can have a blog, which you can call it like a standalone an app. So now let us just cancel the server and create our first app. So to cancel your server, just press Ctrl+C, and then let us write Python manage.py, then start app, and then the name of our particular app. For us, let us just call this app let us just call it listings. So Python manage.py start app, then listings, then you press enter. Okay, good. Our app is created. As you can see here, we have a folder called listing here, and then inside we have admin.py, models and views, and you have the migrations folder here. Okay, let me just explain a little bit about this files inside our listings app. So if you open the listings app here, we can see that we have the __ init.py. This is just to tell the Django that this is a Python package. Then we have sgy gi.py. Then we have the settings.py. So settings.py is the main file where we're going to configure our particular Django project. We can add the apps, we can set up the database, and then we have the urls.py. So this is where we configure our URLs, like the admin URL or any other URL we need to have on our website. Then we have this, the wsgi.py. I'm going to talk about this later. Then we have the, of course I've already talked about the __ init.py. We have this, the admin.py. So here is where we're going to register our models that they can appear to our admin site. So if we have a particular model, we are going to register it here. We'll see it later. Then we have the apps.py. So any app we create will be configured inside apps.py. Then we have models.py. So models is like a file where we're going to create our tables. So this has to do with our database. We are going to define which type of characters or integers we're going to have inside our tables. So for now, let's just consider this is where we are going to create our database, and then you will understand later when we start creating our particular database. So we have test.py. So here is where you write your tests. And then we have the views.py. So views are like the function, how you return your pages and how you configure your pages. So they are like function, but we have the class-based view and we have the function-based view. And then we'll see later about the function-based views, because they are the ones we're going to use on this video. Okay, now let's go back to our settings. As you can see, first we have a database here. So this is a SQLite, which comes with the default Django. After installing just Django, the SQLite server, SQLite database comes with it, but it's not necessary. You can configure any database you want with Django. So let's go to our settings.py here. So inside settings, we remember that we created an app, we called it listings. So we need to add this particular app to our settings. So go to install the apps, install the apps, but as I was saying, that you can see you can configure your database here. Just instead of using SQLite, you can use another, maybe MySQL, or you can use the Postgres. And also you can see in future you're going to set them some images, some configuration to images. You will see also how we can do with particular images and static files in our project. So for now, let's go to install the apps, and then let us just add our listings app to the installed app. So this is a good way, and this is how it's supposed to do. In order for our app to function, we need to add it here. So let us just add listings here. Of course it is listings. Okay, now we are good to go. Okay, if you go to any car dealing website, for example for us, let's go to car.com. As you can see, we have cars here, and we have like this one here. This is the name of a car, and this can be maybe the description of a car. Let's just click on a particular car here, for example here. So it is opening. As you can see here, we have this car here, So it is 2020, and this is the name, this is the price here, and this here is the mileage. So also I don't know what is this, and we have an image here, so we have various images, and also it is the same to all the cars. They have the name, price, and the mileage, also some description. So if we go to our VS Code here, we know that so to create our database we need a table which can contain the name. So this should be a name of a car, so it should have the description. Also it should have the, as you remember, the brand of the car. Also we should have the price, of course, and then let's say we have the mileage. Now let's create, of course, another field is the image field, and we shall deal with this. So let's create a class and let us call it a listing. So listing should pass a model, and then let us say the name should give it equals to model dot car field, and should give it a maximum range of 100, and let us give it a description. So the description should be equal to models dot car field. Also the maximum length should be 100. Another thing is the brand. So also the brand, it should be a car field, so models dot car field. So also the maximum length should be 100. Also let us give it a mileage, so this should be the integer field, so models dot integer field, and then we should give it a price. Also the price should be the integer field, models dot integer field. Also we should have the image. So on the case of image there is some settings, so let us just leave it like a comment, and then we are going to talk about it later on the image section. Okay, let us just see if everything is okay. Let's delete this, and then let us save our model here. Now let us go to the admin.py to register our model, as you remember. So we should import from these models, we should import our model, so which is the listing. Then we should write admin.site.register. We need to register this particular model, and our model is listing. Okay, let us save this. Now let us go to our terminal here and try to run our server if everything is fine. So python manage.py learn server, click enter. So everything is running okay. As you can see here on the terminal, we have what we call this we have the 18 unapplied migrations, as you can see them here. So we need to migrate these migrations, also including our table here. So we are going to keep them on the migration folder. So just cancel the server and write python manage.py make migrations. So click enter. So it is asking for this listing, so we need to migrate this list. So this migrating this, just like python manage.py migrate, and then if you press enter, all the migrations are done, including all the other 18, those were unapplied. Okay, now let us try to run our First of all, we need to create a super user to access our admin. So just create python manage.py, create super user. So here you need to write your username. For me, I'm going to write admin, then email address. You can put any email address. For us it's admin.cypher.co.tz. Okay, now the password, just type the password you want. Just make sure that the password doesn't show. Just type again, make sure the password should be the same and strong. For us, asking the password is too similar, just click Y for yes, and then let us learn our server again. Now our server is learning correct and no any other migrations. Just after the address, you just write slash, then admin. Of course it's admin, then click enter. You can see we have the Django administration here. Just write the username and the password you kept it during creating the super user. Okay, now as you can see here, we have the users here. If you click here, you have the user we created and the email. Also we have the listing model we created here. So let us try to create a listing here. So let us give the name of the car, let us say just Hyundai Santa Fe, and then let us give it a description. Okay, now let us give it a brand. So the brand should be Hyundai, and the mileage just keep it 1, and the price should be, let us just say equals to this one here. Save this, and then you can see here instead of the name we have the listing object. We need to fix it here. Let's go back to our code here, and then just define a function here, underscore str, and then it should pass self, and then it should return self dot name. Okay, let's save this, and it's running. Okay, let's go back to our browser, refreshing here. See, we have the Hyundai Santa Fe here on our Django administration. So we are able to add our listing here, and this is how you can create and migrate your models, and this is how you can register your models, as you can see, and how to access our Django administration. Next, we need to go to create our views. Okay, let's just go to our main folder here, our dealership, and then let's go to urls.py. Then I'm going to import include here, and then I need to copy this line here and then to add it here down, and then we need to include our application. You remember application name, our application was, we remember our application, so was listing, so we need to include our listings.urls. so all URLs regarding to listing should be included on our main folder. As you can see, have an error here, but let's just copy this one here and then go to our listing, and then create a new file, and then let us call this file urls.py. so then I'm going to paste this here. Then I will not need this include, and then also this admin here will not be in use. So we just need to add our URLs here. So whenever we access a certain URL, we should be configured here. So for example, we're going to have the listing. So of course we just need to have a blank here, because we don't need to go further. But for now, let us just comment this, or we can just say, so if we go to /create, we should access our create, or listing, we should access our particular listing. Okay, but before doing this, let us just comment this, and then we'll come back to this later. Okay, let's go to our file called views.py. So here on views.py, we're going to create our views here. So as I said earlier, that views are like the function, although we have the classes. So let us just import from our model. So from dot models, so let us import, we're going to import our listing. Okay, we're going to import our listing model. As you remember that on our models.py we had this model here called listing, so we are going to import it to our views.py. Okay, now after importing, we are going to create our first function, and then we are going to call it a listing. So this function should list our particular listing. Remember we had a Hyundai, so we are going to list that particular Hyundai to our page. So we define listing, then we pass a request. Then as you know that when you have we need to write a query here, so a query from our database. So a simple query, just write the listing dot objects dot all. That means the listing is from our model, so from the database, so should we list all the listings inside our database. So listing, we just need to give it a variable here. So listings is equal to listings dot objects dot all. So it means that we are going to list all the cars we have on our database. So it should return, remember, it should return render. Then we need to pass a request, and then the HTML page we want to return. So we are going to return a listing.html, and then final we need to have a context. So a context, you're going to define it soon, though here now we need to define our context. Okay, let's just put it here, context. So it's like a dictionary, then equals to let us get this name, listing, and then the value should be listings. Okay, now good, we have our function in place. Now let us see if everything is working fine. Now looks like everything is fine. Now it's time to, as you know that we don't have this listing.html, but we need to configure first our URLs before creating that HTML page. Now as you know that when we access a blank, so our main, so the blank, it should go to, first let us import from our views. I will explain it later. So from dot views dot, so from this directory we should import the views. Okay, now the path should be, of course, should be blank. You can decide to put anything, but let us leave it blank. Then should be views dot, our views what was called listings, so it should be views dot listings. It is listings, and then we should define a name. So a name, it should be equal to, let us call it listings. Okay, good. Now this is our path. So now instead of seeing the default Django page, we need to see the listings. Okay, let us save this. So after saving this, let's see everything is good now. Yeah, of course everything is fine, but we're still having an error here. I don't know where does it come from, but let me see if the views is correct. The view is correct, and then listing is good, and then what's wrong with this? So our settings, our listing is correct, Let's now create a new folder and let us call it templates. Okay, so these templates, we're going to put all our HTML templates. So create a new file here and then call it, as you remember, listings.html, as we returned from our function, as you can see. So listings.html. Okay, now let us write a simple HTML here. Let's just say, let us give it a page. Okay, so forgive me with my HTML skills. So P and P, it's like this. Okay, and then let us say here is our listing. Okay, here is our listings. Good. Now let us save this, and then with this error, let us see what we can do. But I can tell you this error is just a matter of just canceling the server and running the server again. This should be solved out. Okay, I'm just making sure that everything is okay. Okay, everything is fine. So let us just, and the URLs is good. Okay, so yeah, everything is good. Okay, so let us just cancel the server and run the server again. And as you can see, the server is running correct. So to cancel the server, just press Ctrl+C and then run the server again. So let us go to our, okay, as we can see here on our browser that we have our paragraph here. So this is here, this is our listing. So looks like our page is working correctly. So if we go back to our code here and then let us add this context here. So of course we need to list our listing. So we need to see our Hyundai Santa Fe coming here to our page. So let's go to listing.html and then we just need to write a simple logic here. So we just need to loop through our listing, then we should list our list here. So to write a loop, you just need to pull this, as you can see. So your for loop should be inside this braces. So for listing in listings, remember the listing we had in our context. Let us see, where is our views.py? It's here. Remember this listing here. Okay, so we are looping through this listing. So this is from our database, and then we need to of course we need to end the for loop. So this is how it's done in a particular HTML page. So you just like end for, and then inside here we need to pass the listing context. So for listing in listings, so we should pass here listing. Okay, so here we expect that we are going to have the car we listed earlier. Okay, let us now save this. Okay, after saving this, let us refresh our page here. Of course, good. Now as you can see here, we have the Hyundai Santa Fe here. So looks like we are able to return from the database. We are able to display our car here from our database, as you saw on the Django admin. Okay, now if we are done with this, if you know some HTML, you can just improve it and put it like the way you want, but this is the logic behind you can do with it. Okay, now let us go back to our views. So in our views, we need to list a single listing. You know, here we have all of them, but we have to create a function. So a function, let us call it listing. So here we are going to list a single one, so with a particular ID. So we are going to pass a request, and then we need to write a query. So before we should return a render, then we should return a request, and then the particular HTML page you want to return. So for us, let us say listing.html. Instead of listings, we are going to call it listing.html. So we are going to return a single listing with a particular ID. Okay, so this we can call it like a detail view for a certain car. So we need to return also the context. So let us define a context here, and then of course it's a dictionary, and then we need to pass something here. So this should be from our database. Okay, let us write a query here. First of all, let us, as you remember, we need to query from the listing model. So listing equals to our listing model, then dot get. Of course, we need to get a particular listing. Of course, it's listing dot objects dot get. So we need to get a particular ID of a particular listing. So we need to pass an ID. So this ID also should be passed to our once we define our function here. So the ID should be equal to our ID. Okay, I hope you understand here. So this ID is from here, so it's defined here. So the ID, so defining your function should pass an ID. So of course, so now here on our context, it should be listing. Okay, the key should be listing and the value should be listing. So here we're going to list a single list with a particular ID. You remember from our database, the cars are arranged according to their particular ID number. Okay, now here everything is good. Of course, we just need to define our URLs so to get this particular ID. So let's go to, first of all, let us create this HTML template. So it is listing.html. Go to templates. Oh, let us start. Of course, let us start with the URL first. Okay, the URL should be, so just need to copy it here. Of course, then so here we know that we are going to list a particular listing with a particular ID. We should make a few modifications. So our function is called listing, not listings, and then our name should be listing, not listings. Then a path here should be listing. So listing, then we need to pass a particular ID. So remember, we need to pass an ID here, so to indicate that we need to fetch a particular ID of a particular listing. So this is done. Let's go back now to our HTML template. As I said earlier, now create a new file here and let us call it listing.html. Okay, now let us put our HTML code here for a particular single listing. Okay, so if you're good in HTML, it's your time to modify each and everything, but forgive my HTML knowledge. Now let us pass our context here to our HTML page. So you can guess what we're going to do, but if you don't know, let us do it together. Okay, so let us create a page. It's just a simple page here. Okay, of course not a page, it's a paragraph. Okay, sorry. So also no need to write a paragraph, we can just write here is our list single, then we need to pass the particular listing from our context. So listing, let's just say listing dot to print the listing dot of course a particular ID, and let's see if we can get the particular ID from our listing. Okay, so let's say listing dot ID. Okay, now let us save this. Let us go to our browser now. Okay, and refresh here. Of course it should be slash listing. Okay, and then we should pass for the listing, then we should pass a particular ID. Let's say ID1, and then you click enter here. Oh, oops, page not found. Okay, let us see where to fix this. Okay, looks like we have a problem to our URLs. Let's see where is the problem here. Yeah, looks like we have an issue with our URLs. Okay, let's go back to our urls.py. Right here. Yeah, of course we have a problem here, so we need to add a slash here. Okay, good. Now if we go back now to our browser and refresh it, okay, we have the listing ID here. Okay, we are able to print the particular ID. Now we don't need to print the ID, we need to have the particular car. So instead of putting .id, we just needed to add the listing here. Now you can see that we have the Santa Fe here. Okay, we have the particular car here. Now we just need to go to our listing HTML. Let's just make a modification here. Let us add a break here so that it can be good on our side. As you can see here, yeah, we have, at least it is somehow good. Okay, of course if you know HTML, CSS, you can modify it wherever you want, but for us it's good to go now here. If we put of course if we go back to our main page here, we have the Hyundai Santa Fe. So here we need to add a link here so that if someone clicks this link, it should send him or her to this detail view. Okay, let us try to add now another car. Okay, you can give it any name. So for us, let us call it Toyota, and then let us give it anything you want to add here. Of course, there's no problem. Okay, a brand of course should be Toyota, and then let us give it the mileage. I don't know, anything you can put it here, and the price. Actually, I don't know the price of this, so let us just save it. Okay, good. Now we have two listings here. Okay, if we refresh here, we have the Toyota Athlete. Okay, now because we have two listings here, we need to go to our listings.html, then add a, of course we should add a link here. So if someone clicks that link, then it should be sent to the detail view. So as you know how we create links on HTML, so href, okay, here we need to pass a particular link, so we know that it is we know we need to access a particular ID. Now it should be, let's see here, it should be, Let me see, it is here. Okay, it should be listing. Of course it is listing dot id. So we need to access a particular id of a listing. Yeah, of course here we need to put a full link. So remember, it is listing, then slash, then it should be our listing.id, so a particular id for that listing. So we can just put here maybe the closing a here, and then let us put like, let's say, a car here. Okay, let's say a car, and then let us save this to see if everything is okay. Now if you go to our browser here, if we refresh here, of course we have the links here. If we click here, let us click here, Toyota Athlete. Okay, let's click here. So if we click, we have the detailed view. As you can see, we have, and here we have the ID number 2 and the Toyota. So this is how you can create a list and the detailed view of a particular list. So looks like everything is good. Yeah, of course you can see even the IDs here on the tab here. So looks like everything is fine. So that's how you create the listing, and that's how you can create a listing view, or we can call it a detailed view. So thank you so much for watching, and see you on another video. Okay, so if you go to WC schools, W3 schools, you can see a normal HTML form is looking like this. So you have a form here, you have some inputs, you have the submit. So this is how we create a normal form, but for us we are not going to do that. So instead we are going to create our form based on our model here. So our form is going to be created based on this table here we created earlier to our database. So to create a form, you know that if you want to create a listing, you need to have a form to fill. So you need to go to your listing, then you need to create a form here. So create a new form, and we're going to call it forms.py. Okay, so it's forms.py. Okay, then you save it. Then from here on, we are going to create our form. Remember, our form is going to be based on our model. So first of all, we need to, so from .models, we need to import our model. So it is called listing. And then without forgetting, we also need to import our form. So from Django.forms, so we need to import model. We need to import the model form. Okay, it's called the model form. So this is going to help us build our form based on our model. So we need to create a class here, and then this class we call it a listing form, and then should pass a model form. So we need to create a class, so class meta, and then we should include our model, which is equal to listing, and then we should define our fields. So for us, we need to know our fields, which fields we're going to use. So you can put __ all fields, but let us just rename all the fields. So let us check for our model. How many fields do we have? Where's the model here? So we have the name, description, brand, mileage, price, and the image. So let us start by the name. Okay, so remember this is a list. Then you have the description, and then we are going to have the brand. and then we are going to have the mileage. Okay, and then we have the price. For the case of image, we shall add it later. Let us just end here, save it, and then save our form. So now once we have saved our form, we need to go to our views, because we need to create the view for creating this particular listing. So we define a function, let us call it create. Okay, so create, then should pass a request. Okay, so we should pass a request. Just we forgot here, we need to import our form from the forms.py. So from .forms we need to import the listing form. Okay, so from .forms import the listing form. Okay, now here we need to pass the request. Okay, and yeah, of course we need to render our form here. So rendering our form, just create a variable form equals to, so from our listing form. Okay, then we need to create a context. So context equals to, so this is a dictionary. Then here we need to pass our form. Of course, it should be a dictionary key and value form. And then we need to return render, and then we should render, of course, should pass a request and the particular HTML page we want to render. So for us, it's going to be create.html. Of course, we need also to pass our context here. Okay, now let us save this and see what we have on our browser. And then let us go to, first of all, let us create this, the create.html form. Okay, and then let us pass our form here. So remember the context we passed, so it was form. So form, and then let us save this. Okay, everything is good, and everything is okay. Let's see on our browser what we are going to have. Okay, of course, just for the URL, we need to create also the path for this particular create. Okay, so path. Now just copy this, and then instead of listing, should call it create, and then instead of listings, I'm going to call it create. So views.create. So the path also should be create. Okay, create, then trailing slash. Okay, let's save this because there was. Okay, let us now try to go to slash create. As you can see, we have a form here, so including the name, description, brand, marriage, and the price. Okay, now as you can see, the form is not well, it's not good, so we need to go to our create.html. So we should add here .asp, so the form should be like a paragraph. So save this, and let us refresh again. We see our form now is good. Now we can fill this form. Just as you can notice that a submit button is missing, so we need to rectify this so that we will be able to add our listing. So let's go back to our code. Okay, now let us go to here, and then let us add the form. You know how to create a HTML form. Okay, a form, and then should end a form here, and then we should put an input. So this should be the submit button. So we should put a button here, and then it should be, okay, of course it should be button, and then submit. We should type, should be the submit. Okay, Okay, so that's all. Let us save, refresh. So we have a submit button here. Now that's good, but with this the form is not going to work. We need to add some method here. So the method should be equals to post. So because this is going to be posted on our database, so the method should be post, and then according to Django, this form should be added the CSRF token for validation. So this is like a security issue, so for the form to work, so CSRF underscore token. Okay, now this is good for form verification and security. Okay, if we save this, let us go to our views. Okay, here let us create some logics. So let's say if the request dot method is equal to post, okay, equals to post, so we need to capture the information from the form. So form equals to listing form, of course, capital L, listing form, then request. So we are passing that particular request dot post. Okay, so after capturing the information, we need to verify the information. So we are going to write that if the form, so if the form is valid, so if the form is valid, we need to save this particular form. Okay, so after saving the form, so form.save, we need to return something. So we need to return a redirect so that we can be redirected back to our home page. So return a redirect to our home page. Okay, now this is good. Of course, this return statement should be here. Okay, it should be here. So if form.save, then return it direct to our home page. So let's see, everything is good. Now let us save this and see if we can have the form working. Okay, as you can see here, we have some problems. Of course, here for request.method, it should be double equals sign. So request.method, it should be equal. As you can see here, now our server is running correctly. It's time to test our form if it is working. So refresh it here, then let us fill some information here. Let us call this any name, of course. Let's just call it Nissan X-Trail, and then the description, okay, it's used, I don't know, from Japan, and then the brand is Nissan. Let us put the mileage, okay, and then the price, and let us try to submit our form. Good, as you can see that we have 3 cars here. The Nissan X-Trail is just here, and if you click it, you have the detailed view. As you can see, everything is working fine. So our form is working. So if we go to create another car, you can see that. So let us create a car here. So the Range Rover 22, and then let us create the brand new from UK, and then the brand, of course, is Land Rover, the mileage, and then let us put the particular price, and then let us submit. Good, so we have also the Range Rover here, so that our form is working correctly. As you can see, if we refresh here to our admin, you see we have all the 4 cars here. Okay, so looks like it's good and our form is working correctly. So thank you so much for watching. And then next we're going to see how we can update and delete our forms. So see you there. Hey, what's up everyone, welcome again to another video. So on this video we're going to finish our last parts, which it was about how we can update our listing and how we can delete our listing. So if you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing. We want to reach 1,000 subscribers, so please help us by doing so, and try to subscribe, like, and share this content. So without further ado, let us get started. Okay, let us just start by creating our update function. So we just need to define a function and call it update, and then this function we need to pass a request. Also, because we are going to update a particular listing, so this listing has an ID, so we need to pass an ID also. And then it's how you create a normal function, and then we need to query from our database. So we just need to define a variable called listing, and let us say equals to our listing model. So it's our listing model, then dot objects, then we need to get this particular ID. So ID equals to ID. Okay, now after querying from our database, now we need to populate our form with this particular listing. So form, let's say, equals to our listing form, and then remember we need to populate this form, so we need to pass an instance, and then this instance should be equal to our listing. So instance should be equal to this listing, so should reflect back to this particular listing. Okay, now we need to say if, so the request dot method, if the request dot method equals to, say, equals to post, just let us give it capital. Okay, so if the request dot method equals to post, we need to populate, and we need to get this information. So of course we need to have a colon here. So we say that our form equals to our listing form, then we need to pass the request dot post, so we need to get that particular information, and then our instance should be equal to our listing. Okay, so this is good. So if the request dot method equals to post, we need to get this form with a particular instance, so we need to have the form with the particular information which we updated, and then this information is going to be reflected to this listing which we we got from our database. Now, so if everything is good, now we need to save the form. So if, so the form dot is valid. Okay, so if the form is valid, we need to save this form. So form dot save. Okay, so we need to save this form, and then after saving this form, we need to return to redirect. So we need to return a redirect that if the form is saved, we need to redirect it to our listing page. Okay, now, so it's just simple. So if the form is valid, we need to save this form, and then we need to return redirect, redirect. Okay, and then we should redirect back to our listing page. Now, of course, if this is not done, we need to return we need to return an empty form, or we need to return a particular form. So we need also to return the context, and we need to return the update. So I'm going to copy here. So I just copy this, and then I'm going to paste it here. So I'm just going to paste it here. Of course, should be here. Okay, what is this? Yes, of course it should be here. Now, this means that if we query the particular listing with the particular ID, we need to populate our form with this listing. Then if we try to post any information, we need to get that form, and then we need to get that particular information with the particular listing. Then if that form is valid, we need to save that form, and we need to redirect back to our listing page. So otherwise, we are going to get this one here. So here we are going to have, instead of update.html, create.html, we're going to have update.html. So let us save this. So after saving this, we are going to create this update.html. Go to templates and then create new file, and then call it update.html. Okay, press enter. So it's not going to differ very much with our create. Simple. Let us just copy our create here, and then you are going to take this, and then you Control C, and then you are going to paste it here. Just paste it here. Form OSP, because remember we are passing a form here, because on our views here we passed this a form, and here we passed as a form. Okay, so after saving this, as you can guess that now we need to create our URL, so where we can access this particular form. So if we go to urls.py, and then here we need to have our update. So I'll just copy this one here, because it's the same, just a few modifications, and then I'm going to paste it here. So instead of create, we are going to update, and then remember we are updating a particular ID, so we need to pass an ID here. So you can pass even a PK if you declared it as a PK. So we need to pass an ID here. Remember, our function is called update, not create. And then the name, we should call it update. Okay, so let us save this. So after saving this, let us try to run our server. Manage.py, then run server. Okay, let's go back one folder. Okay, so now we can run our okay, looks like our server is running correctly. Now it's time to see if everything is working fine. So let's go to our browser here. So we have our listing here. So if we go to update, and then we should pass maybe like ID1. So update the listing ID1, click enter. So as you can see here that we have the Hyundai Santa Fe, and the description is the instance that we have populated this particular listing. Now let us try to change here. Instead of brand new, let us say it is used, and let us save this. Okay, now we have saved this, and let us scroll the information here. Okay, here is our listing. Now let us go to our admin, and let us see if we can get the description. So 1 2, and let us go to admin. Okay, I don't remember the username, so let's say it is, what did we put here? Oh, can't even remember my username and password. Okay, finally I was able to remember my username and my password. So let's continue. So if we go to our listing here, and if we go to Hyundai Santa Fe here, we can see our description has been changed. So it was brand new, now it is used. So looks like our update form is working good and it's working fine. So let us try to update maybe another listing. So let us /update, and then let us update listing number 2. You can see we have Toyota Athlete used from Japan brand. So let us say the mileage here should be equal to 100, and then let us submit. Of course, it has been updated. Now if we go back to here and go to our listing here, if we go to Toyota Athlete here, and then let us see, now the mileage has been changed. So our form is working fine. So now it's time to go and see how we can delete our particular listing. So again, so if you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing, liking and sharing this content. So we want to reach 1,000 subscribers. Please help us by subscribing and sharing this content. So without further words, let's go to deleting our listing. Alright, welcome again. It's time to create our delete function. So we are going to create a function to delete our particular listing. So again, if you are new to this channel, please consider subscribing, liking and sharing this content. We want to reach 1,000 subscribers, so please help us by doing so. And please, just if you like this video, just give it a like and then consider sharing this content. So let us get started. So let us define a function and let us call it delete, and then we should pass a request here. And then because we are going to delete, we need to delete a specific listing, so we need to pass an ID. Because we are going to delete from our database, we need to query from our database. So let's define a variable and then call it listing. So equals to our listing model. So it's listing model, and then dot objects, and then we need to get this particular ID. So remember, ID equals to ID. Yes, and then after getting this particular ID, we just need to write listing dot delete. Okay, it's just simple. Listing dot delete. It's just like the form dot save. So this is listing dot delete, and then after deleting, we need to return a redirect. So it should be redirected to our listing page. Okay, so our listing page is the home page. You need to be redirected here. Okay, let's see if everything is working fine. Let us save this. After saving, the server is still running, but as you know that we need to have a particular URL which can be reflected to our particular deleting function. Now we need to define a URL. So we need to go to our urls.py. So go to urls. So just down here we need to copy this, and then Control C, we need to paste it here. Then instead of update, we need to put here delete, and then remember we need to delete a particular ID. So our view here is not update, is delete, and then the name should be delete also. Okay, now let us save this. Okay, so after saving, our server is running correctly. Remember, we don't need to have a template here like this one for listing, create and update. So for delete, we don't need to have a template. So let us try to go to our browser and delete some listings. Okay, let us be here, and then let's say you want to delete this listing with ID number 1. So we go to our browser, then /delete, and then we want to delete the ID. Remember, the ID is 1, and if we click enter, the particular listing is gone. Now if we go back to our listing here, and then we don't see the Hyundai Santa Fe to our listing. So this is simple, and this is how you can delete your listing from our browser. So we just need to make some few modifications, that we need to have the delete button to our templates, so that it can be easy for us to delete. So let's make some adjustments. Okay, we are going to make some few modifications to our templates so that we can see the delete and update button, and also we should see the button to add a new listing. So let's start by going to our VS Code here. Then just go to your templates and then go to listings.html. So this is our template where we are listing all our listings. So by default we are listing the listing by title. So as you can see, to our browser here we have the titles of our particular listing. Now it's time to make some modifications. So for here, let us put a button here for creating a new listing. So let's put an anchor here. So href, let's say equals to, it should be, let's just put, it should be, remember our create URL is /create, and then we should end this, and then let us add here, say add new listing. Okay, and then let us close this. Okay, good. Let us save this, and then let us go to our browser and see if we have the button here. Okay, good. Now we have here add a new listing. So if we click here, we have the form to fill if we are going to create a new listing. So let us try to create here. Let us create let's call this car, like, I don't know the name, which good car. Let's say it's Harrier. It's Harrier. And then let us the description, let's say brand new. Okay, let's say the brand, it should be Toyota. Okay, and the mileage, let us give it like 10, and then the price be like 2000, and let us submit. If we submit, we have the Toyota Harrier here. Now let's go back again to our code and let's make some few modification to our listing. So this is our listing. Now let's go to listing.html. So we know this particular listing here, we need, of course, we need to have, so if someone clicks this button, so if someone clicks the link, should be directed here to our listing view. Then here should be a button to update or a button to delete. So we are going to make some few modifications. Let us just delete this, and then let us just create a paragraph here. So I don't know the paragraph, so forgive my HTML. So it should be a P here, ending P. Okay, I don't know, it's like this. So we should create a paragraph here, and then let us say that we should say the name, and then we should say that we need to have of course here we need to have the listing.title, of course, let's see, it was title or it was name. From our models it was name. Yes, of course, it's not title, it's name. So listing.name, and then we need to have the price, of course, and then we need to have, of course, we need to have the listing.price, and then of course we can just end it here. Maybe we can add the listing.description, but let us just end here, and then down here let us have a link to update and delete this listing. So let's have an A here, anchor, so href here, and then say equals to, let's say, now we want to create a delete button. So we know our URL, it is /delete, and then what we are going to delete, it should be, of course, we are going to delete, but we are going to delete a particular ID, so we need to pass an ID here for what we are going to delete. Now we need to have the listing dot particular ID. So we are going to delete, but this delete is going to delete a particular ID. Now the button here should be delete, and then we should close this. Okay, good. Now let us add the button for updating also. Just copy this and paste it here. Instead of delete, we are going to update. Remember our URL, and then you update a particular listing.id. Then instead of delete here, we are going to update. Okay, now it is good. Okay, let us save this. So if we save this, if we go to our browser here, refresh this, and then if we go to, let's say, to particular car here, then we are going to have, here is our listing, the name and the price, and then we have the delete, and we have the update button here. Okay, of course, forgive my HTML skills. So let's let's put like a break here. Let's break here. Okay, and the price also we need like some spacing here. If we save this and let us refresh it here. Okay, at least good. Okay, yeah, it's good at least. Okay, now we have made our modifications. Looks like everything is good. We can update, we can delete, and if everything is good, as you can see now, we are able to create our listing, we are able to update our listing, we are able also to delete, also we are able to view our particular listing. So this is how you can do it. So next we are going to talk how we can deal with images. So as you remember on our discussions, I said we are going to leave out the image. So we are going to talk about how we can integrate the image to our particular listing. So it's time to go there. So I'm just reminding you again. So if you are new here, please consider subscribing and sharing this content, also liking this content. So hope to see you on the image section. Okay, welcome back. So we are on the final stages of our course, and on the final step is that we are going to discuss how we can deal with images. So remember, we are creating a car dealership website. So this website should have an image, so we need to have the images of the car. So now I'm going to show you how we can deal with images. So with images, we are going to make some few modification to our code, and mainly we are going to make some modification to our settings.py. We are going to make some modification to our URLs and to our code also. So by starting, let us go to our models.py. We need first to add the model field to our database. So let's go to models.py. Remember we commented this. Now it's time to uncomment this. Now we need to add image. Let's say equals to models. It's models.image. Of course, it's models.image field. Okay, so we need to save this. After saving this, as you can see that listing image cannot use image field because Piro is not installed. So we need to install Piro, and you know how to install Piro is that you need to just write pip install Piro, and then Piro should be installed and everything should work. So it's time to install our Piro. So let us install Piro to resolve the issue. So just like pip install Piro. Okay, and press enter. Okay, so Piro is installed. Now it's time to go back to our code and start making some few changes. As you remember, if you add any field to your models, you need to make migrations. So we have added an image field, so we need to make migrations. So you know that to make migration we need to write Python manage.py, then make migrations without space. Python manage.py make migrations, press enter. Okay, so this is telling us that provide one default. Now because we're having this error, actually it's not an error because that we have the fields which don't have an image, and then we need to specify, we need to tell our Django that for the listings we have, what what the image is going to be treated, because we have some fields which we don't have images, and now we want to add an image, so we need to specify what to put to this listing which we had earlier. So we need to select of course we can decide to add manually, because as here you can say maybe default, maybe you can say default equals to maybe a space, but for us we're going to select option number 1, which we're going to add just a blank string for us. So let's select option number 1, and then so for us let us just put an empty string. Okay, and let us press enter. Okay, now it's going to ask us for this migration. So of course it's got an image. Now after writing python manage.py make migrations, the next thing is to migrate. Now we write python manage.py, then migrate. So make migration, then we need to migrate. Okay, our migration is done. Now the image field is added to our database. So once an image field has been added to our database, remember we had a form here. So this form didn't have the image. Now we need to add here that someone may be able to add an image. So we need to add an image here also. Remember, this is from our model. As you can see, our model, we have image, and then on our forms we need to have image also. Let's save this. Now if we let us just try to run our server and see what we have on our form. So python manage.py run server. This is how you run your server. Okay, our server is running. Okay, if we go to our listing here and let us go to, of course let's go here, let's go to just a home page, and then if we try to add a new listing, you can see that we have an image field here. So this is from our form and it is reflected to our database. So we have an image field here, but if you try to upload an image here, the image is not going to be uploaded, because we have some settings we need to make so that our image can be successful uploaded. Now let's go back to our code. If we go back to our code here, let's go to our, first of all let's go to our settings.py. Settings, where is our settings? Car dealership, and then it is settings.py. Now here we need to tell Django that if we upload a particular media, a particular image should be kept on to which folder. Now if you come down here, you can see you have your static URL, so we need to add the media URL also. So media then underscore URL. This should be equal to media, so it should be kept to media. Okay, so our URL should end with a slash, so media URL should be the media, and then we need to have the media root. So it's media underscore root should be equal to media. Okay, now as you can see that, so to apply the images, so our image should be kept to the media folder, and then to access our image we need to have the media URL, which is the media URL. Now we are done with our settings. Let's save this. Now let's go back to our, of course we need to configure our URLs, and then we are going to configure our views. So let's start with our URLs. So let's go to listing, then urls.py. So if we come up here, you will see that from Django.urls import path, of course, is true. Now we need to import settings. So we need to, so from Django.conf, then we need to import these settings. We need to import the settings. Okay. Also, we need to import the static URL. So from Django.conf, then .urls.static. So from Django.conf.urls.static, we need to import what we call static. See, of course, you don't need to claim this. You can just go to the documentation, you just copy this, and then you are good to go. But it should be like this. Okay. Now down here, we just need to write a small settings, so a small logic. So we write if settings dot debug. So we say if settings dot debug, then this is what we need to do. So URL patterns should be equal to, of course, you remember this plus equal to, then static, and then it should be settings dot, we have to configure our media URL, so should be media underscore URL, and then so URL patterns static settings dot media URLs, then we should, the document have a document underscore root, so it should be equal to settings dot media underscore root. So this is the simple logic we have to write, that whatever we have to access our media URL should go here, and our image should be kept to our media root. It's so simple. So you can just go to the Django documentation and you'll see how this is applicable with different examples. So for the case of this tutorial, let us just know that if you want to have some images to our forms, this is how we can configure our settings. So let's just see that if everything is good to go. Document root, the settings dot media underscore root. So let us save this. Okay, looks like everything is fine. Now because we have this, we need to go to here. So
inside here we need to have this particular folder where we are going to be uploading our media. Of course, you can just leave it blank, so once you upload the file, the folder will be created automatically. But for us, let us just go ahead and create the folder here. Yeah, of course, we just need to create the folder here, and let us call this folder media. And then okay, now we have the media folder here because we specified to our settings.py that our media root should be inside the media folder. Now once this is done, we need to go and modify our functions. So our function, also we are going to modify our forms to our templates. So let's go to our function first. So inside our functions, let's go to views.py here. So inside our functions, we need to make some few modifications. So first of all, we are going to start with our form, the form which we are going to create, and the form which we are going to update our listing. Okay, so for the case of creating a listing, let's just go to our create function. Of course, it is here. Now we need to make a few modifications to our post request. So if request.method equals to post, we need to add a request here which is called the request.files. So we need to add this, that we can have the access to the files. So if we get the post, remember the post, if someone fills the information, we need also to get the request. We need also to get the request dot files. Okay, so we get the information. We also need to get the files, the particular image file. We save this. Also, let us go to the update. Okay, also for the update, as you remember, we have here that form equals to listing form request.post, and then we get that particular instance. Then we also need to get the required file. Now we need to add a comma here. We say that files, so the particular files should be equal to request. Where am I writing this? Should be equal to request dot files. Okay, so this is good. So also we need to, okay, now we are done here. Let us save this to see that if everything is okay. Yeah, and everything looks fine. Now it's time to make some few modifications to our templates. So let us go to the listing.html. Of course not here. Let's go to our, where is our form? So the create form here. Okay, the create form here. So on the create form, we need to make some few modifications. So this form method here, we need to add this particular parameter here, which is called enc. It's called enc. It's encryption type, enc type. This should be equal to, of course, should be equal to matpart. It should be equal to mult. Of course, some mistake here. Mult should be multipart, then slash form data. Okay, so in order to deal with the image, we need to add this one here. So we need to specify the ink type. This should be multipart, then form data. Okay, we need to also do this to the update. So Control C here, and let us first save this. After saving, let's go to our update. Also, we need to pass it here. So this also ink type should be equal to multipart form data. Now we have updated our informations. Let's just cancel the saver and run the save again. Remember to cancel the saver, Control C, and then the arrow up to repeat the previous command. Now everything is fine. Now let us try to add our image. Okay, of course, as you can notice that we are going to add an image, but on our form, our view, we haven't specified where we are going to access our particular image. But for now, let us add a new car here. Let us call it Premiere, and let us new Premiere, and let us say the brand is Toyota, and let us mileage like 12, price like 3,000, and let us choose an image. Of course, let's say where we can get an image, good image of a car. Let us say we have cars here, the Premiere. I don't know the picture for Premiere. Let's say this one here, and let us upload it here, and then let us submit. Okay, Premiere is added, and then we have earlier. What happened if we click to Premiere here? Let's click here. Boom, we had the Premiere here. We have the price, we have the delete, we have the update, but we don't have the image here. As you note that we need to make some few modification also to our detail view page. So let us go and try to have the image here. Okay, so how do we have the image here? So let us go to our listing.html, and then first of all, before we make some modification, let us see if we have the image to our media folder. If we go to media here, you can see we have the image here. So that means our image is uploaded to a specific folder which we wanted. So if we click here, we have this image here. Now this is good. We just need to display this image to our browser. Now here it's just simple. We just need to add another image here. Image, as you remember, as you know, on HTML, to add an image you have to write img, you close the tag, and then img, close the tag, and then of course we should be ending here. Now inside here we need to specify the source of the image. So src, we say equals to where do we get our image. Now to have our image, we need to put these two and these two, and then we need to say, remember on our form we passed the listing, so we need to say listing. So we need to say listing. We need to say listing dot, you use the dot operator, so dot image. So image, this is from our database, and then we should specify the URL, so dot image dot URL. So we should get the particular image from here. Okay, now let us save this. If we save this, let us try to refresh again. If you see, you can have our image here. if we refresh, good, we have our image here. Now as you can see, the image is too big so that you can't even see our delete and our update button. We just need to make some few modification here. We can just say that let us give this image let's just give this image the width. Okay, let's just give it the width of let's say 400. Okay, and let us give it height. Let's say the height let's give it equal to 200. Okay, now let's say height equals to 200 and the width equal to 400. Let's save this and let us refresh again. Okay, now good, we have the name of the car, which is Premium. We have the price, and then we have the image here, and we have the delete, we have the update. If we want to update here, we can update. We can say, let's say maybe Premium, let's say Premium car, just to see the name, and then mileage, let us add it to maybe 14, and the price. Then let us change the image. Let's look for another image. Let's say this image here. If we add it here and let us submit, the car is updated, and then you can see the name is Premium car. If we press here, we have this image here. Of course, you can find a good way to put your images. Let's say maybe we should modify a little bit about the height, maybe 300. Let's save this. Okay, if we refresh it here, a little bit good. Okay, now as you can see that we have the delete. We can decide to delete it, we can update it. We are able to update, and then if we go to our listing, our home listing here, you can see we have all the cars here. We can add a new listing. For example, for the Range Rover, well, of course we don't have any image here. We can decide to update the car, and then you can choose the image here. Of course, this is not a Range Rover, it's Harrier. That's updated. If we submit here, we have the Range Rover here. If we click, we have the particular image here. So this is how you can create. Of course, there are a lot of things to do here. You can just try to customize them. You can add some CSS. You can add a lot of things to make this website so beautiful, like the ones we saw on the cars.com. But for the scope of this tutorial is just to show you how we can create a car dealership website just by using a simple HTML and using Django. So far so good. We have implemented the CRUD concept that we create a car, we list the detail view, we updated, and we are able to delete our particular car. And then we saw how we can deal with images, how we can deal with the image settings. And so far so good for now. This is just like an end for this tutorial. So if you are so interested in this, we can just try to go ahead and add a new template here. We can customize it for CSS and add some bootstrap so that our website can be so good but for this is just the backend. And if you are a front-end developer, this is your time to customize this. But so far so good. This is how it is done. Again, I'm just reminding you, so if you've come this so far, please consider subscribing to our channel. We are doing a lot of work to make this channel survive. So we want to reach 1,000 subscribers. We have shortage of subscribers. Please help us do so just by subscribing to our channel, liking and sharing our content. So until another day, until another video, hope to see you again on this channel. Thank you and bye bye.